The world outside is loud, but the silence inside holds your true voice. So many of us feel adrift in the endless noise of modern life, constantly pulled by notifications, expectations, and the race for more. This feeling of being lost is not your fault. It is a signal. It points toward a forgotten path, an epic inner adventure waiting just beneath the surface of your awareness. This journey leads to what ancient traditions called the cave of the heart, a powerful metaphor for your deepest, truest self. By the end of our time together, you will have a clear map to begin this profound exploration and uncover a wellspring of wisdom within you. What mysteries about yourself do you think are waiting to be discovered in that quiet space? That persistent hum of dissatisfaction is your first clue. It often starts quietly, a subtle whisper beneath the noise of your daily achievements. You might be checking off every box on your to-do list, receiving praise at work, or surrounded by friends and family, yet there is this undeniable feeling that something essential is missing. It is not about the things you have or have not done. It is a deeper, more fundamental emptiness, like a room in your own home you have never been allowed to enter. This feeling can manifest as a low-grade anxiety that never quite goes away, a chronic stress that feels disconnected from any single event, or a simple, haunting question that pops up in a quiet moment. What is all this for? This existential discomfort is not a sign of failure or a personal flaw. In fact, it is the complete opposite. It is the very mechanism your soul uses to get your attention. Think of it as a gentle but persistent knock on your door. You can try to ignore it by turning up the volume on your life, by acquiring more, achieving more, distracting yourself more. But the knocking only grows louder, transforming into a sense of burnout, a feeling of being utterly lost in your own story. That ache is not something to be medicated away or silenced. It is a sacred invitation. It is the call to a profound adventure, the beginning of your quest to find that sealed room within yourself, to finally answer the call of your own heart. Answering that call means turning away from the world you know. This is the first courageous step, the moment you choose to cross a threshold into the unknown territory of your own being. It is a decision to stop seeking answers in the noise and to start listening for them in the silence. This turning inward is the true beginning of your pilgrimage. It means consciously loosening your grip on the need for external validation, on the constant scroll of social media that measures your worth in likes, and on the endless pursuit of material possessions that promise fulfillment but never truly deliver. This is not about abandoning your responsibilities or living as a hermit. It is about shifting your primary focus from the outer world of achievement to the inner world of meaning. The initial challenge is almost always the mind itself. When you first sit in quiet, your thoughts might rebel, buzzing like a swarm of disturbed bees. They will present you with 1,000 reasons to get up, to check your phone, to do anything but simply be with yourself. This mental resistance is perfectly normal. It is the ego's defense mechanism, its fear of becoming irrelevant. There is also the fear of solitude, a common hesitation. We often confuse being alone with being lonely. The thought of facing ourselves without distraction can feel intimidating, even frightening. What will you find in that quiet space? Will you be bored? Will you be disappointed? This initial resistance is the gatekeeper to your inner world. Pushing through it is not a battle to be won, but a gentle, persistent act of returning. Each time you notice your attention has wandered to a worry or a memory, you simply, and without judgment, guide it back. You are not trying to empty your mind. You are learning to observe its activity without getting swept away by the current. This is how you begin to quiet the storm, not by fighting it, but by finding the calm eye at its center. The moment you take this step, you have already begun the most important journey of your life. What might you hear when the world's demands finally fall silent? This inner quiet reveals a landscape you have always inhabited but never truly seen. The first thing you will likely notice is the sheer activity, a constant stream of thoughts, memories, and judgments flowing through your awareness. It is like entering a vast, intricate labyrinth built from your own mind. The walls of this maze are constructed from your deepest beliefs, many of which you did not even choose. They were handed to you by your culture, your family, and your past experiences. Your task here is not to fight the labyrinth or to find an immediate way out. It is to become a gentle and curious explorer of its every corridor. You learn to observe the patterns of your thinking without immediately believing them or trying to shut them down. You might notice a voice that constantly criticizes your every move, or one that whispers you are not good enough. You may encounter old stories about who you are supposed to be, stories that no longer fit the person you are becoming. This stage of the journey is about untangling these conditioned beliefs, thread by thread, to see which ones are truly yours and which ones you can finally release. This process requires immense courage, for the labyrinth is guarded. The monsters at the gate are not mythical beasts, but the very real and powerful forces of self-doubt, entrenched fear, and the echoes of past hurts. These guardians arise not to harm you, but to test your resolve. They ask a simple, profound question. Are you truly ready to know yourself? When a wave of insecurity washes over you, instead of turning away or distracting yourself, you learn to sit with it. You ask, where does this feeling truly come from? Is this my truth or a story I was taught to believe? Facing a memory of a past failure, you do not run. You observe the ache it carries with a compassionate heart, acknowledging the pain without letting it define your present moment. This is not about erasing your history, but about changing your relationship to it. You are not destroying the monsters, you are understanding them. And in that understanding, they lose their power to block your path. Each time you meet a fear with awareness instead of avoidance, a corridor in the labyrinth clears. A wall of old conditioning crumbles, letting in a little more light. This is how you navigate the complex terrain of your own psyche, not with force, but with a patient and forgiving attention. What old story have you been carrying that no longer serves the person you are meant to be? Navigating the labyrinth of your mind inevitably leads you to a place of profound stillness. This is the moment you come face to face with what lies hidden in the deepest recesses, the parts of yourself you have spent a lifetime trying to outrun or ignore. This is the confrontation with your shadow. The shadow is not some evil entity or a sign of a broken spirit. It is simply the sum of all the qualities, impulses, and memories you have been taught to disown. Think of it as a locked chest in the basement of your being. Inside, you may find your raw anger, your deep-seated envy, your hidden insecurities, or the shame from a past mistake. Society, family, and even our own fragile sense of self encourage us to keep that chest locked tight. We plaster over it with a persona of kindness, competence, or indifference, pretending the chest does not even exist. But on this inner journey, you finally stop pretending. You find the courage to turn the key. What you discover inside is not a monster, but a forgotten and wounded part of you that has been screaming for attention. This is the dark night of the soul, a period of intense and often painful reckoning. It feels dark because you are finally looking at everything you have been taught to fear within yourself. It can feel like a kind of death because the image you held of who you are begins to crumble. You might be flooded with memories you had suppressed or overwhelmed by emotions you always judged as unacceptable. The process is not about indulging these feelings, but about holding space for them with radical honesty and compassion. For example, that surge of jealousy you feel when a friend succeeds is not a character flaw to be buried. It is a signal. When you sit with it instead of judging it, you might discover it points to a deep, unfulfilled longing of your own, a dream you abandoned or a part of yourself you have neglected. That sharp tongue of criticism you wield against others, when you trace it back to its source, often reveals a much harsher critic living inside you. This is the alchemy of the shadow. By bringing these disowned parts into the light of your conscious awareness, you begin to reclaim their energy. The anger you repressed holds a powerful boundary-setting energy. The fear you hid contains a deep reverence for life. The sadness you bottled up is the very wellspring of your empathy for others. Integrating your shadow does not mean you become an angry or fearful person. It means you stop wasting energy fighting those feelings and instead understand their message. You become more whole, more real, and paradoxically more compassionate. The person who has made peace with their own darkness has no need to project it onto the world. They can finally offer genuine kindness because it comes from a place of deep self-acceptance. How much of your vital energy is spent keeping your own shadow locked away? Beyond the storm of thought and the work of shadow lies a profound and unexpected silence. This is not an empty silence, but a vibrant, living stillness that feels more like home than any place you have ever known. You have found the entrance to the cave of the heart. Stepping inside is not a dramatic event, but a gentle recognition, a settling into the deepest truth of who you are. The cave is a metaphor for your own essential core, a sanctuary untouched by the chaos of the mind or the wounds of the past. Here, the constant mental commentary simply falls away, not because you fought it, but because it becomes irrelevant. What remains is a peace so deep and so unconditional that it defies description. It is a quiet certainty that needs no external validation, a calm that exists regardless of the circumstances swirling outside. This is the source of the love you have been seeking your entire life, not as an emotion you give or receive, but as the very ground of your being. It is an unconditional acceptance that holds all of you, your light and your shadow, in a single, compassionate embrace. You do not think your way into this space. You feel your way in. Its presence is recognized through a subtle shift in your inner atmosphere, a softening in the center of your chest, a sudden, quiet knowing that arrives without words. It is the intuitive flash of clarity that cuts through confusion, the deep sense of rightness that guides you when logic fails, the spontaneous welling up of compassion for a stranger. These are not random occurrences. They are whispers from this inner sanctuary, reminders of the wisdom that has been within you all along. This wisdom does not shout. It does not argue or demand. It simply is. It is the intelligence that orchestrates your heartbeat and the unfolding of a galaxy, the same silent knowing that guides a bird to migrate or a flower to turn toward the sun. In the cave, you are not a person with a problem to solve. You are presence itself, resting in its own eternal nature. The journey does not end here, of course. Life continues with all its complexities and challenges, but now you carry this sanctuary within you. You have a refuge to return to, a source of strength that can never be depleted. From this place of rooted silence, your actions in the world begin to change. They become less reactive, more compassionate, and aligned with a purpose that feels authentically your own. How would your life change if you knew without a doubt that this unshakable peace was always waiting for you, just a single inward glance away? Resting in that silent sanctuary, you begin to discover the treasures you are always seeking in the world outside. The first and most profound is a sense of unconditional peace. This is not the temporary calm that comes after a problem is solved. It is a deep and unshakable stillness that exists independently of your life's circumstances. It is the bedrock beneath the soil of your daily experiences. When you know this peace, a traffic jam or a difficult conversation might still arise, but it can no longer steal your fundamental sense of okayness. You realize you were never the storm, but the sky that holds it. Alongside this peace blooms a natural, effortless compassion. This is not something you have to manufacture or force. It arises spontaneously when you see your own struggles and fears reflected in the eyes of another. Because you have made peace with your own shadow, you no longer need to judge or fix the shadows in others. Your interactions become less about transaction and more about genuine connection. You listen not to reply, but to understand. You offer help not out of obligation, but from an overflowing sense of shared humanity. This compassion is a quiet power that heals relationships, starting with the one you have with yourself. Then there is the whisper of authentic purpose. This is not a job title or a grand, world-changing mission you have to strive for. It is a much simpler, more magnetic pull toward what feels deeply right and meaningful for you. It is the quiet knowing of the next right step, the intuitive nudge to call a friend, to start a creative project, or to simply rest. Your purpose is not a destination to reach, but a quality you bring to your actions. The parent changing a diaper can do it with a sense of sacred purpose. The accountant balancing a ledger can do it with mindful presence. When your actions are sourced from this inner cave, even the most mundane tasks are infused with a sense of meaning and grace. Perhaps the most surprising treasure is the dawning sense of connection to something far vaster than your individual self. It is the feeling that the same life that flows through the trees and animates the stars is also breathing you. You are not a separate drop of water, but a unique expression of the entire ocean. This connection dissolves the deep-seated loneliness that haunts so many lives. You realize you are never truly alone because you are an inseparable part of the fabric of existence itself. You begin to trust the intelligence of life in a whole new way, seeing challenges not as punishments, but as necessary currents in your own unfolding. These treasures were never missing. They were merely covered by layers of conditioning, fear, and the frantic search for validation elsewhere. Accessing them does not magically erase life's difficulties, but it completely transforms your relationship to them. Your perspective shifts from being a victim of circumstances to being a conscious participant in a meaningful journey. What would it feel like to live each day grounded in that unshakable peace, guided by that intuitive purpose, and connected to the heart of everything? This profound inner shift asks for a new way of living in the world. The wisdom of the cave is not meant to be kept in solitude, but to be woven into the very fabric of your daily existence. This is the final, crucial step of the journey, bringing the light you found back out into your relationships, your work, and your every choice. The challenge is learning to maintain that deep inner connection while fully engaging with the world around you. It is like learning to walk with one foot in eternity and the other in time. You begin by establishing simple anchors, small rituals that call you back to your center throughout the day. It might be a single conscious breath before you answer the phone, a moment of feeling your feet on the ground while waiting in line, or a brief pause to check in with your heart before making a decision. These are not grand gestures of meditation, but subtle touchpoints that reconnect you to your inner sanctuary. Your decision-making process begins to transform. Instead of reacting from a place of fear or old conditioning, you learn to pause and consult this inner compass. You might ask yourself, does this choice bring me a sense of inner peace or a sense of contraction? Does it feel like an expansion of my truth or a compromise? The answer is not always logical, but it carries a certain felt sense of rightness. For instance, a lucrative job offer might come your way, and on paper it looks perfect. But when you sit quietly and feel into it, you notice a tightness in your chest, a subtle feeling of dread. That is your inner wisdom speaking. Conversely, a small, seemingly insignificant act, like reaching out to an old friend, might fill you with a warm, expansive feeling of alignment. That, too, is your inner guide at work. This is how you start to live from authenticity, making choices that are truly your own. Your interactions with others are naturally colored by this inner work. When you are grounded in your own wholeness, you no longer need people to act a certain way to make you feel secure. You can listen to a differing opinion without feeling threatened. You can offer kindness without expecting anything in return. You begin to see the struggles and fears in others not as personal attacks, but as their own journey through the labyrinth. This does not mean you become a passive doormat, quite the opposite. From this place of compassionate strength, you can set clear, healthy boundaries with a calm heart because you are protecting your inner peace, not defending a fragile ego. You respond to situations rather than react to them. The noise of the world continues, but now you carry a silence within you that can absorb it without being disturbed. You start to see your entire life as your practice ground, every moment an opportunity to choose the wisdom of the heart over the chatter of the mind. How will you plant a small seed of that inner silence into your next ordinary moment? Living from the heart is a practice, not a permanent state you achieve. It is the art of returning again and again to that inner sanctuary, especially when life pulls you away. This journey has no final destination because the path itself is your home. Each day offers a fresh invitation to remember who you are beneath the roles and responsibilities. The goal is not to live in perfect, unbroken peace, but to navigate the inevitable storms with a newfound resilience, knowing you have a calm harbor within to which you can always return. This is not about adding more tasks to your already busy life. It is about weaving threads of awareness into the existing fabric of your day. A daily meditation practice, even for just 5 minutes, is not about achieving a blank mind. It is a dedicated appointment with yourself, a time to sit at the entrance of your own cave and simply listen. In that quiet space, you observe the breath flowing in and out. You notice the parade of thoughts without following them, and you gently rest in the awareness that holds it all. This daily ritual builds a muscle of inner attention, making it easier to access that space when you are cut off in traffic or faced with a difficult deadline. Beyond the cushion, mindful reflection can transform ordinary moments into portals of presence. Washing the dishes can become a meditation on the feeling of warm water and the scent of soap. Walking to your car can be an opportunity to feel the ground beneath your feet and the air on your skin. Each of these small acts, done with full attention, is a stitch that mends the separation between your spiritual practice and your daily life. Conscious living is the ultimate expression of this integrated path. It means pausing before you speak to ensure your words come from a place of kindness rather than reaction. It means making choices about how you spend your energy and time based on what truly nourishes your soul, not just what is expected of you. When challenges inevitably arise, as they will, this ongoing practice becomes your anchor. A sudden loss or a professional setback no longer has the power to completely derail you, because your sense of self is no longer entirely tied to external conditions. You can feel the grief, the fear, or the anger without becoming consumed by it. You can acknowledge the difficulty while simultaneously feeling the steady, supportive presence of your own heart in the background. This is the grace that comes from a lifelong commitment to the inner journey. You learn to dance with life, flowing with its rhythms instead of resisting them. You fall out of connection, you forget, you get caught in old patterns, and then, with gentle compassion for yourself, you simply begin again. The path is not always easy, but it is always available, waiting for your next conscious breath, your next moment of loving attention. What small, gentle step can you take today to walk this beautiful, endless path a little more fully? Your journey inward follows a timeless map, a sacred geography of the soul. It begins with that quiet ache of dissatisfaction, a whisper that something essential is missing from your life. This feeling is not a mistake. It is a sacred invitation, the call to adventure. Answering that call means turning away from the noise of the world, consciously choosing to seek answers in the silence within. This first step leads you directly into the labyrinth of your own mind, where you meet the guardians of self-doubt and fear. Here, you learn the art of gentle observation, untangling the old stories and conditioned beliefs that have shaped your reality. This courageous exploration brings you to the shadow, the locked chest of disowned parts. By facing these aspects with radical honesty, you reclaim their energy and move toward profound wholeness. Beyond the shadow lies the entrance to the cave of the heart, the sanctuary of your true self. In this vibrant silence, you discover an unshakable peace that has nothing to do with your external life. This is the source of your authentic compassion and your intuitive sense of purpose. The final stage of the journey is to bring this wisdom back out into your world, learning to live from the heart in every action and interaction. This entire path is a homecoming, a return to the truth that was inside you all along. The map is now in your hands. The adventure awaits your first conscious choice. Your first step can be as simple as a single deep breath, a moment of pausing to ask, what is true for me right now? Do not wait for a quieter time or a sign from the universe. The only permission you need is your own. Begin today. Find a quiet corner for just 5 minutes and simply listen to the silence within you. That is where your greatest story begins. We are all walking this path in our own way. I would love to hear about your experiences. What was the first clue that called you inward? What have you discovered in your own quiet moments? Share your story in the comments below. Let us create a community of explorers supporting each other as we journey home to ourselves.